I've spent 30 days with the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus, and we were all wrong. Because the regular iPhones are not so regular because they are a Pro in disguise. Since there are numerous Pro features from last year's high-end variants, but there is just one drawback. So let's talk. Now, I was quite surprised by its curved edges. Even though it seems like just a minor change and it looks boxy, they make the phone feel so secure in the hand since the corners are really soft. Then the satin frosted glass back feels soft and really lovely to touch. It's like the phone is giving me a little hug. And because of this, I'm more comfortable using the phone without a case on. And speaking of cases, I find that while a silicone cover protects the phone, it's a bit tricky to pull out from my pocket, so I've gone caseless after 2 days of use. Then the color options are really interesting too, and I've grown to really love the pastel shades, especially this pink color, which stands out beautifully as it looks like I'm carrying a little cotton candy, minus the stickiness. Now, the yellow though looks almost white in certain light. That rhymed. Now, as much as I love white, I would love to see a slightly more prominent yellow, as I also saw the blue one in person which leans towards white as well. Then visually, you'll also see a two-tone color since the camera bump area is a different shade of color too. Now, even though I did an unboxing to show the colors of these iPhones in my unboxing video, if you are still unsure about your color choice, what's my advice is to check out these colors at the Apple Store before deciding. Now, speaking of which, I would love to know, what is your take on phone colors? Do you not mind it because you always put a case anyway? Or do you choose a clear phone case to show off the colors? Let me know in the comments, or let's discuss this in our community Discord channel. Links to that will be in the description below. Now, believe it or not, switching from the iPhone 15 Pro Max to this iPhone 15 Plus has been a joy. Mainly because the weight difference. Now, even though it's only 20 grams lighter, but it is easier to handle. So if you like the size of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, then you probably appreciate the iPhone 15 Plus. But of course, if you like a smaller size phone, like the Pro, then the 15 would be an excellent choice since it comes with a smaller size. Then USB-C is also on this variant, but the USB-C version is version 2.0 instead of 3.2 on the Pro, but I don't see this as an issue because I've tested many USB-C accessories on the iPhone 15, which I did a dedicated review on that, so do check it out in case you guys haven't. And of course, in this non-Pro variant, you won't be getting the action button, as that has been only reserved for the Pro models. So did I miss the action button? Well, not really, because as much as I did use the action button to open the Todoist app, as shown in my review of the iPhone 15 Pro models, not having this was not a big deal for me. Now, battery life on both the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus is impressive, especially considering their bright screens and the dynamic island feature. The 60Hz screen of course played a significant difference in having better battery life, which I'll dive into the display on these phones later in this video. Now, with the iPhone 15, I averaged close to 7 hours plus of screen on time each day, and that was with dark mode turned on, with battery hitting at 10%. Then the iPhone 15 Plus did way much better because it's like the marathon runner of the iPhone 15 family, giving me almost 9 hours of screen on time, which really supports Apple's claims that the Plus has the best battery life on the iPhone 15 series. Now, also worth noting is that these phones manage their battery excellently when idle, much like a well-behaved student in class. So if battery performance is your top priority, then these phones, especially this Plus variant, is definitely a very great choice. And among all, I feel like the battery life on the iPhone 15 Plus is something that I'm gonna miss the most when I switch back to my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, as for cameras, let's play a little game of Pro or no Pro. And the questions are, do you need Pro RAW photos? Do you need Apple ProRes? Do you need lock profile when video shooting? And finally, can you live without macro mode photography? Because if you answered no or maybe to all of that, then this phone is a massive yes. Because the image processing on this iPhone 15 variant still makes this the best point-and-shoot experience compared to any other smartphone in the market today. Now, starting from the ultra-wide lenses, as predicted, it looked great with perfect focal length and a high level of consistency from shot to shot, even when switching to the main lens right after using this ultra-wide lens. Now, speaking of the main lens, it also outputs at 24 megapixel photos on this 48 megapixel lens like the Pro models, even with a slightly higher aperture value and a different focal length time compared to the Pro, whereas you can see that the image processing is amazing with excellent dynamic range and extremely great details during the day. Now the phone has a telephoto 2x mode in the app, which does crop from the 48 megapixel natively, so you will still be getting very sharp details and overall great results on the 2x mode, and the maximum zoom is up to 10 times, where the quality was just decent, especially with a lot of light. Then the rear portrait mode was great on objects, but there was a bit of a blur on the edges, but it does very well on human subjects with better edge detection and background blur. Then as mentioned earlier that if you're obsessed with macro photography, you won't get that on these models compared to the Pro, so keep that in mind. Now as for the selfie camera, it looked flawless with great skin tones and overall dynamic range, and the selfie portrait and the edge detection for the background blur was also really great in dealing with my uncombed hair. Then the ultra-wide lenses perform great in low light indoors at night, but when you start going outside, you'll see that the lens only doing well if there's some great amount of light to really balance out the darker areas of the image. And you'll see a darker shades on the sky area but without any noise. And like the Pro iPhones, if the photos have some street lamps, there will be a significant amount of glare or glow around that light area. Now of course the main lens will perform better at night thanks to its bigger sensor, so you'll find this particular lens very handy to use even if you cropped in 2x zoom, as the illumination of this DJI main headquarters in Shenzhen was captured very well to the eye, but of course don't expect the 10x zoom images to do very well during at night. Now speaking of doing well, a common trait that the iPhone 15 has this year is that if you were to take photos of light rays, you will get a significant lens reflection as seen in this image, so keep that in mind. Then portrait mode at night works very well, but make sure that your hands are really steady to get an unblurred shot. And if you're taking selfies at night, be sure to use flash to get a sharper image of you instead of turning it off, especially if you're in the portrait selfie mode, as I feel that the nighttime selfies may not be the biggest strength of this non-Pro iPhone 15 cameras. Then switching over to video, the 4K video quality during the day performed exceptionally well with high quality details from the ultra-wide, the main lens and even the 2x zoom video as well. And the dynamic range did very well even when I was shooting directly against the sun towards the sunset, which was the best compared to other baseline phones that I've tested this year. And the lens switching while video recording was very seamless indeed. 4K stabilization was also flawless at 4K 30 FPS, so I didn't switch to the action mode since it does reduce the video resolution. So it's nice that it's performing exceptionally well over here, and obviously the main lens also performed flawless in terms of the video stabilization. And yes, the same could be said for the 4K front video camera's performance. Then switching over to the ultra-wide video at night, the quality matches the photos as mentioned earlier with great balance of highlights and shadows. However, the stabilization is not as good as the daytime shots. Now the main lens did better than the ultra-wide lenses in terms of the quality and overall stabilization, as you can see, but speaking of seeing, you can also probably see the lens reflection based on the environment. Now I was glad to see that the front video quality was good, probably better than the images in my humble opinion during my extensive tests, and here's a vlogging test to hear how the audio recording is on these two phones.
Alright, so this is an audio recording test for our vlogging situation. The iPhone 15 Plus is over here and the iPhone 15 is over here. So let me know if you find any difference if I turn it off for both of the sides. So this is an audio test, test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
So if you guys are enjoying this video so far, a nice big thumbs up would be very much appreciated, and a subscription would be lovely too, as this kind of videos takes a very long time and effort to do. So thank you very much in advance. So I've saved the discussion for the display towards the end because it's a mix of great and not so great aspects in terms of this iPhone 15 variants. Now for the good, the display's high peak brightness is at 2000 nits, which is a standout feature which makes using the phone in bright daylight awesome and easy to use, which is the exact peak brightness of the Pro models. Then another positive is the inclusion of the dynamic island. Now Apple's decision to bring this feature, which started with the iPhone 14 Pro to this iPhone 15 so soon, was a pleasant surprise, making the transition from last year's Pro to this non-Pro like there was no switch at all. Now as for the not so good thing is the 60Hz screen, because if you're switching from the Pro model or any phone which has a 120Hz display, you'll definitely notice the difference. But if you talk to someone who has always been using the baseline iPhones, they just don't care. But if you're coming from a 90Hz display Android phone, here's where you'll feel that the difference is not so drastic, because it's like stepping down a half a stair instead of a whole flight of stairs. And this is partly due to the phone's chip and the software's overall smooth performance, whether you're doing daily tasks or gaming. And speaking of gaming, let's dive into the performance of these phones. Now, you might have some issues with the Pro iPhone 15 models when it comes to overheating, but there's no such problem on this iPhone 15 or even the iPhone 15 Plus, as I never experienced any overheating or warmth. Everything from watching a marathon of cat videos to intense gaming session. Now, as part of my usual gaming test routine, I played Genshin Impact on both phones, and they perform exceptionally well at high graphics at 60 FPS with motion blur at low compared to the higher motion blur on the Pros. Now, this is also the same on the iPhone 15 Plus, just that it had a bigger screen, so the experience was just a little better. But the good news is that both phones felt very nice in the hands when gaming for long periods of time. Now, despite using last year's A16 Bionic chipset, these phones outperform many flagship Android smartphones, as this 4nm chipset really holds its own. Then regarding software, iOS 17 runs perfectly on these devices, offering the same experience as the Pro variants except for the standby feature, because while it works, it will turn off the screen automatically after a while, since this non-Pro iPhone doesn't have an LTPO display, so it cannot bring the refresh rate down to 1Hz, so Apple decided to just turn it off after a while. Now, if you're curious about my favorite features of iOS 17, check out my in-depth review of the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which I'll link at the card above or in the description below. And here's a fun fact: every A-roll and B-roll in that video was shot on the iPhone 15 Pro or the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Other than that, using the iPhone 15 as just a phone, the experience has been great, like the 5G signals with no call dropout, and I also really appreciate the new microphone mode that allows you to switch from standard to voice isolation mode to give the background noise cancellation. Now, if you want a written recap of this video, do head on to our website at www.adamlobo.tv, as everything mentioned in this video will be included in the website, including screenshot photos of both of these phones. So this begs the question on whether or not you should upgrade. Well, after spending a whole month with the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus, my verdict is very clear that these phones are far from being regular, as they pack numerous features that was once exclusive to last year's Pro models, making them unexpectedly premium choice. From the sleek design to its comfortable curved edges, the standout battery life, especially in the Plus variant, which as mentioned earlier is something that I will definitely miss when I switch back to my iPhone 15 Pro Max. And if you're wondering, I have the iPhone 12 or 13, should I just get last year's iPhone because it's cheaper? I would say no. Just get this new iPhone 15 series because USB-C alone is a compelling update for me, and it will be for you. And of course, the addition with the way brighter display and dynamic island is something that I've gotten used to and love really more. And speaking of the display, despite the 60Hz refresh rate, it still delivers on the high peak brightness and dynamic island integration, although you might notice the difference if you're used to the 120Hz screen on the Pro models. And speaking of which, check out my review of the Pro iPhone 15s over here.